Diplomacy is built on words, and sometimes a single phrase can ignite a firestorm. In 2025, President Trump joked, "Canada's practically our 51st state. Maybe we'll just make it official." The press room's laughter was uneasy. Carney's smile was frozen. In Canada, the comment struck a nerve. Social media erupted. The hashtag #51st state became a rallying cry. The joke became a spark, uniting Canadians in a surge of patriotism. The digital outrage quickly spilled into the streets. In Ottawa, thousands gathered on Parliament Hill, singing "O Canada" and waving flags. Signs read, "We are the true North, strong and free, and politely independent." Political leaders, usually divided, stood together to condemn Trump's remarks. For once, Canadian sovereignty wasn't a partisan issue, it was a national one. Prime Minister Carney addressed the nation that evening. Calm and resolute, he said, "Canada is not a state of any other country. We are a state of mind, a state of heart." The phrase "a state of mind" instantly became a national motto. It appeared on t-shirts, bumper stickers, and social media profiles. Carney's speech channeled outrage into purpose, turning insult into inspiration. The incident became a defining moment, a catalyst for unity and self-reflection. Canada wasn't just reacting, it was redefining itself. The world watched as a quiet nation found its voice. The 51st state joke had backfired, awakening a new sense of Canadian identity. Canada was ready to face whatever came next, together. The Maple Leafs' roar was heard around the world. The crisis revealed a stark contrast in leadership. Trump doubled down, tweeting, "They have no sense of humor, sad." He saw the uproar as just another battle in his culture war. Carney, by contrast, refused to engage in a war of words. He rallied his cabinet, reassured allies, and spoke to Canadians with calm authority. Where Trump was impulsive and confrontational, Carney was analytical and steady. Carney's leadership provided stability and confidence. He focused on unity and strategy, not spectacle. The world took note. In a crisis, steady leadership outshines bluster. The difference was clear. One led with noise, the other with resolve. Canada's response was measured, principled, and effective. The contrast became a lesson in modern statesmanship. Trump retaliated with tariffs, aiming to cripple Canada's economy. Canada responded with targeted tariffs of its own, hitting key U.S. products. But the real shift was strategic. Canada launched Trade Diversification Now. Carney's government raced to expand trade with Europe and Asia, reducing reliance on the U.S. Canadian businesses, once focused on the American market, began to look globally. The government supported companies in finding new markets and innovating. There were challenges, but the crisis sparked entrepreneurial energy. Canada's economy became more resilient and independent. The trade war, meant to weaken Canada, instead forced it to grow stronger. The lesson was clear. Diversification is the key to sovereignty. Canada was no longer just America's neighbor. It was a global player. The pivot marked a turning point in Canadian economic history. The nation was determined never to be so vulnerable again. As tensions with the U.S. grew, Canada turned outward. Carney's state visit to the UK led to a new trade and security pact. The EU expanded its trade agreement with Canada, opening vast new markets. Carney addressed the European Parliament, earning a standing ovation. At NATO, while Trump questioned alliances, Carney pledged more troops and funding. Canada's commitment won respect and influence. Ottawa became a hub for international dialogue and innovation. Canada's stature in the G7 and UN grew. The world saw Canada as a reliable, principled ally. What began as a response to an insult became a foreign policy triumph. Canada proved that a middle power could shape global affairs. The nation's quiet diplomacy spoke louder than any insult. Diversifying away from the U.S. brought new challenges, especially with China. At first, trade with China boomed, but soon Beijing used its leverage to pressure Canada. When Canada stood firm on human rights, China retaliated with import bans. Canada had learned its lesson: never depend on a single partner. The government doubled down on innovation, investing in agri-tech and domestic supply chains. New crops, vertical farms, and tech exports made Canada a leader in sustainable agriculture. The crisis spurred investment in critical industries, from medical supplies to rare earths. Canada's new strategy was resilience, diverse partners, strong domestic capacity. The dragon's shadow became a catalyst for self-reliance. Canada emerged stronger, more independent, and more innovative. The nation's adaptability became its greatest asset. The world took notice of Canada's quiet strength. As the U.S. turned inward, Canada opened its doors. The global talent stream fast-tracked visas for top researchers and entrepreneurs. A brain drain from the U.S. became a brain gain for Canada. Tech hubs like Toronto and Vancouver flourished, earning the nickname Silicon Valley North. The influx of talent transformed Canadian society, diverse, innovative, and confident. Canada's identity shifted from quiet neighbor to global leader. The state of mind Carney spoke of became reality. Canadians saw themselves as innovators, not just polite bystanders. The insult that sparked the crisis helped Canada step out of America's shadow. A new, confident, multicultural identity was born. The 51st State incident became a turning point in Canadian history. Canada responded not with anger, but with unity and resolve. The nation diversified, innovated, and redefined itself. True sovereignty is built on resilience, diplomacy, and identity. Carney's calm leadership offered a powerful alternative to bluster. Canada's greatest strengths proved to be its differences, not its similarities, with its neighbor. The real clapback was a years-long transformation, not a single retort. Canada's journey showed the world that strength can be quiet, principled, and enduring. The nation's character was defined not by the insult, but by how it rose to meet it.